if I was starting out as a marketer right now and you're saying avoid a certain thing, the big thing that I would avoid is doing too many things at once. And that's the big mistake. Do one thing really well, conquer it, and then move on to the next channel and then continue to add more. Yes, you need to take an omni-channel approach, but you need to start with 1 or 2 channels first and get them right before you expand to many more channels.
Welcome to the Undefeated Underdogs podcast, where I unpack and narrate stories of ambitious people who turn obstacles into opportunities. My goal for this podcast is to create a platform to narrate underdog stories and maybe play a small, teeny tiny role in inspiring you. I intend to highlight the underdog mentality and make authentic conversations with people who play the long game, take action with a chip on their shoulder, and convert obstacles into opportunities. Buckle up, as I'll be bringing some authentic founders, VCs, community builders, and content creators who got underestimated their whole lives, and yet they beat all the odds to become insanely successful. Now, today I want to tell you a little bit about our awesome sponsor, Acquire.com. Selling a business is as tough as building a business. As someone who went through this process once, selling my own startup, I know the pain it takes to get to the end zone. This is where our sponsor shines. Imagine this: you're a founder who's built a solid SaaS product, acquired customers, and generating consistent monthly revenue. The problem is, you're not growing for whatever reason: lack of focus, lack of skill, or just plain lack of interest, and you feel stuck. What should you do? The story I'd like to hear is you buckled down, somehow reignited the fire, get past yourself and the cliches, and start working on your business rather than just in the business. You start building an audience, move out of your comfort zone to do sales and marketing, and in 6 months, you triple your revenue. The reality isn't as simple. Situations may be different from every founder facing these crossroads, but too many times the story ends up being one of inaction and stagnation until the business becomes less valuable or worse, worthless. If you find yourself here or your story is likely headed down a similar road, I offer you a third option. Consider selling your business on acquire.com. Capitalizing on the value of your time is a smart move. Acquire.com is free to list and they've helped hundreds of founders already. Go to try.acquire.com/Sharath and see for yourself if this is the right option for you. Now, let's get into today's episode. Welcome, everybody. Today, I have Neil Patel, one of the amazing marketers I duly respect. Like now and then, and every time I think about marketing, I refer his articles. If I'm not an SEO expert, but everything he created regarding SEO and everything, it's like pure gold. Neil is the founder of NP Digital. He's a New York Times best-selling author. He's a top influencer named by Wall Street Journal. I can go on and on and on and on. Probably I can take like half an hour just introducing Neil, but which I don't want. Let's get into the conversation. Neil, welcome to the show. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. A fun story. Neil and I, we met at Inbound a few weeks ago, and he was very grateful, very gracious to come on the show and bless our listeners with, some of the wisdoms he's going to drop now. So right off the bat, talk to me about marketing 101. Like, when did you fell in love with marketing? Let's go back to your early days and walk me through it.
So I was around 15 years old, created a website, and the website was a business. It was a job board, and no one was coming to it. And I created the job board because I couldn't find a job.
Oh,
No one was coming to it. I saved up some money from working some jobs, and I paid a marketing firm. I got little to no results. I was frustrated. I was broke, so I had to learn it on my own. I started doing marketing on my own website. It took a year, got good at it, and then I was like, huh, this is actually fun. And it was like addicting just looking at the analytics and the data. Be like, oh, I'm getting more visitors. More people are registering on my site. Still wasn't making money, but it was at that
right.
point where I got addicted to the marketing aspect.
And talk to me about the early mistakes you made as a 15-year-old, learning about marketing. That people still make today? Like, what are some things that you observe right now that, oh my god, there's still people are, I'm just getting super mad because they're just doing the same thing which I did 15 when I was like 15 years old.
Sure. So one is they take shortcuts. They'll like do
Mm,
things like buy links and try to cheat the system instead of playing the long game and investing that money in their product or service. The
mm,
second thing that people still do, and they made this mistake when I first started 23 years ago, people focus on immediate ROI. And I'm not saying you shouldn't.
mm,
Marketing, yes, you want an ROI when you can get one, but not everything in marketing is about ROI. What about brand building? And a lot of people took that for granted, 23 years ago, and they still take it for granted today. But if you
mm.
look at electric cars, you buy Tesla because you just know it's Tesla. When it's running shoes, you go with Nike because of their
Right,
brand.
right.
And a brand is very powerful. If you look at most of your purchases, you're purchasing brands that you know and you've seen before, and you didn't necessarily do a Google search or click on a paid ad. And I'm not saying SEO or email marketing or paid advertising or social media can't help with brand building, but
Mm.
companies take that for granted. And you build a good brand by having a good product, good service, by being in business many years. All these things really add up.
And what when you say people take shortcuts, right? What are the things that I know? Like, some of the things you mentioned are kind of like, uh, they want like get rich. I mean, get quick results type of a methodology. I would say like, hey, if I do this, I get this type of a
Yeah,
thing.
it's the same mentality as a get rich quick, which is what you're talking about, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah, and in those shortcuts, especially in today's short attention span world, what are some things that you uh, like drum the beat out saying that, hey, do avoid this because it's the social age. I think 15-year-old Neil lived in a different world than the Neil which is living right now. So what are the things that if you were like a 15-year-old starting to do marketing, uh, that you say, hey, definitely do avoid this?
yeah, so if I was starting out as a marketer right now and you're saying avoid a certain thing, the big thing that I would avoid is doing too many things at once. So in
Mhm.
marketing, and it's contradicting advice, but it's not really. And here's what I mean by that. In marketing, people will tell you that good channels eventually get competitive, and the only way to win is to take an omni-channel approach. You have to do
Mm,
social media, you have to do all the major platforms, you have to do SEO, you have to do email marketing, you have to do conversion, you have to do paid ads, you pay per click, conversion rate optimization. But it's overwhelming. But that's how
mm,
you win. And what you see is people start off with trying to do everything, and that's the big mistake. Do
mm,
one thing really well, conquer it, and then move on to the next channel and then continually add more. Yes, you need to
mm.
take an omni-channel approach, but you need to start with one or two channels first and get them right before you expand to many more channels.
And in your opinion, right now, right off the bat, given like you're observing the market very closely, especially in the marketing area, uh, which channel do you recommend for listeners who are either starting their own business, being a creator, creating content? Which
Yeah.
channel is like really effective right now?
I wouldn't necessarily say one channel is more effective than another because it really depends on your industry. But I would tell
Mm,
you as a medium, video is probably one of the most effective
mm,
formats. And I would start
mm.
with creating video, and you can repurpose that video on multiple channels. Or
And
you can
I
slice
think,
the video into reels or shorts or whatever you want to call them, TikToks, etc.
right, right. Your blog had over 4 million visitors per month, and you spend like a ton of time on it, like, on a regular basis. Talk to me about like how did you maximize that reach? What are some tactics that from a writing standpoint, writing blog standpoint, that you've used that people should like, learn about?
So the big thing is if you're gonna pick one thing, if you want to get traffic to your website, because keep in mind I started early, so things were a little bit different than they are now. But
Hmm,
right now, the key is you're writing really unique, amazing content. See, everyone's talking about ChatGPT and Bard and creating the same regurgitated information. To
right.
do well, you got to write unique, fresh content that people haven't read about before, that is on top of their mind, that intrigues them. And that's where I
Hmm.
think a lot of people make mistakes right now.
And let's talk about your marketing school podcast. You've done written content, you've done building businesses, you've done like so many things. Why podcasting? What caught your eye that I should do podcast?
Yeah, what caught my eye is I look at podcasting as an unsaturated market. There's less than 10 million podcasts, but there's over a billion blogs. Look how many people there are in this world. Podcasting is just much less competitive, and it's growing at a very rapid pace.
And anything that you've learned building that podcast growth versus the blog growth, like what are the some things that you did differently this time? I know I think it's audio video is predominantly like, will help
Yeah,
you
so
get
there's
more
two things
visitors.
with podcasting. One, you do your keyword research. It's similar to the blog. You got to have good keywords that people are searching for. You can use tools like Ubersuggest or Answer the Public for that. Two is you got to talk about trending topics. Three is we found that longer podcast episodes are doing better, even though we do short ones. We've been doing tests on that. Four
Hmm.
is you need to keep a repository. So with podcasting, when people look at their feeds, a lot of times they only show the latest like 50 episodes or 100 episodes. We show as
Hmm.
many as the aggregators will allow you to show. We find that gets us a lot more listens or views or whatever you want to end up calling them.
Hmm.
And then the next strategy, and this is the last one, I'll actually give you two more. So one other strategy is consider interviewing people. When you interview them, have them promote the podcast episode. And then the last
Hmm.
strategy is you got to do swaps with other podcasts. So let's say you have a podcast, I have a podcast. We can
Right.
do ad impressions on your podcast where you're promoting our podcast, and on our podcast we can promote yours. And it doesn't
Hmm.
matter if your podcast is more popular than mine or mine is more than yours. We can do impression swaps. So I can do 1,000 impressions for 1,000 impressions, or 10,000 impressions versus 10,000 impressions. And we found that to just really grow a podcast.
Oh, I didn't know that. I think I didn't know that that's a thing about impression swap. That's a good takeaway from this episode. With So one of the things that really caught my attention when I was listening to you at Inbound was you were telling that you should always give free work in the beginning, and you should give, and at some point, if you ask, people are going to like come forward to support you in, whether you're building a SaaS business or creating content. You should always free work first, then later you have to place an ask. Talk to me about that philosophy. How did that philosophy help you grow your business?
Well, it's simple. Um, let's start thinking of everything as a currency, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you give away something for free, it costs you money. Opportunity costs, your time, your energy, maybe paying people, it costs money.
Mm-hmm.
Buying traffic costs money. What we found is if you can find something that people find valuable and you can give it away for free because it doesn't cost you much, we find that is more effective than spending the dollars on marketing. I own a marketing agency, NP Digital, right?
Right.
It goes against you know, how I make money in my business, but we tell clients what's best for them. It doesn't mean
Hmm.
marketing is bad. We find that
Hmm.
if you can find something that has high value that you give away for free, has bigger impact than charging or paying for marketing.
It, isn't that so? Sometimes it feels like the debate out there is when you give a lot of free work, you're kind of losing credibility as well, because it's again, I'm opposed to it, but
Not
because you're
necessarily.
doing.
There's a lot of people. Ray Dalio gives a ton of stuff away for free. No one cares. He doesn't lose any credibility. He's also one of the richest people in the world. But free has nothing to do with credibility. You'll
Hmm.
lose credibility if your product or your service sucks, whether it's free or paid, right?
Hmm.
That's what loses credibility. If the information you put out is crap, doesn't matter if it's pay or free, you'll lose credibility. Free has nothing to do with credibility. Quality has everything to do with credibility.
Hmm. I like that. I that's a snippet that we'll use for sure. With personalized marketing being important these days, everybody's becoming more human, not sounding like a machine. How can founders leverage it to grow their business?
So personalization, I don't have a dog, but let's imagine I have a dog. I wouldn't want Amazon recommending me cat food if I have a
Mm.
dog and I don't have a cat. Personalization, that's an extreme example, but
Mm-hmm.
that makes your life easier when you're shopping. For example,
Right.
if I'm looking up the weather and I'm in Los Angeles, but it shows me the weather in Las Vegas, that's a 4-hour drive. That's a big difference. I don't care what the weather in Las Vegas is. I'm in Los Angeles. I want to see where
Hmm.
the weather is in the city I'm in or where I'm going to.
Hmm.
The point I'm getting at is personalization just makes your life better.
Right.
But the hard part with personalization is when do you show people different things? And you can start using tools and services like ChatGPT to help with this, whether that's chatbots, from the open AI API, or whether it is showing people different things based on their location. People want personalized experiences. But the hard part is actually personalizing and not getting too personal. And what I mean by that is
Hmm.
we found that when you personalize too much, it doesn't really impact conversions or revenue. You need to
Hmm.
personalize enough where you can get the extra conversions and sales, but personalizing much more than that doesn't make that big of a difference.
Hmm. I like that. You're one of the influencers in marketing, and I think it's after social becoming like the social wave. Everybody's having that, creating content on social, TikTok, whatever that is, like Facebook earlier. How important is an influencer's role in current marketing landscape? And as an influencer yourself, like how do you find advantages of influencer marketing?
I think influencers are very important. And think of it this way, um, with influencers, okay, if you wanted to buy, if you want to buy something, a lot of times Uh, you're a lot of times if you want to buy something, you're looking at what other people are recommending. Whether it's a
Hmm.
Cristiano Ronaldo if it's related to soccer, or Kylie Jenner for Kylie Cosmetics. But
Right.
people connect more with these individuals or Rihanna from Fenty than they do
Right.
with a lot of these faceless corporate brands. Now, it doesn't mean
Right.
the faceless corporate brands aren't effective. Is look what Nike's done with influencers, Michael
True.
Jordan,
LeBron
uh,
James. Yeah.
LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, etc. Influencers can be very powerful. You just have to have the right influencers and have to be relevant to your business. Me getting LeBron James to promote my marketing agency, NP Digital, isn't going to do much. His following isn't related
Hmm.
to marketing. It's more towards sports and entertainment, and it has to be the right influencers, but it's super effective. I think
Hmm.
look what Ryan Reynolds did. He sold Mint Mobile. I
A
forgot what the
billion
price tag was,
dollars.
but it was
Yeah,
quite a
more
bit.
than billion. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
more than billion.
yeah, more than billion, I think, including the earnout, and it was a super effective strategy. What was the
Hmm.
differentiator between Mint Mobile and the other mobile providers? The real difference was Ryan Reynolds. There wasn't much of a difference other than that.
I think, yeah, I feel like a lot many people make mistakes picking wrong influencers, wasting a lot of money, thinking that their name and fame are going to like bring a lot of attention. But what you said is absolutely true. It doesn't matter. There should be like a business influencer fit, so that like just founder market fit. It should fit right in so that their audience feels like the product you're building is much more valuable. I like that a lot. Uh,
Yes.
in your opinion, what are some key trends that startups should focus on within the digital marketing in this landscape?
So digital marketing right now, think about AI and how you can use it to be more efficient in your marketing so you can get more done as a startup. Be
Hmm.
as focused. Startups try to do too many things with their marketing, try to pick one or two channels first and then expand. Three, start thinking about product-led growth. What can you give away for free, which we talked about as well. That doesn't cost you much and sell them something that's bigger.
Hmm.
In the presentation, I have probably give an example of you give away free payroll software and you sell them on health
Right.
insurance, which is more than a
Right.
10 times bigger market when you compare paychecks versus United Healthcare.
Hmm.
And the last one that I would really say is engage with your community. This hasn't
Hmm.
changed much from when I started marketing 23 years ago. I actually think it's worse now. There's social media, but a lot of people don't want to engage with others. When people leave
Hmm.
comments, people aren't responding back. They're not helping others. They're not really conversing with their audience. And
Hmm.
if you don't hear them out, you don't help them, you're not there for them, you're not communicating with them, you're only going to do so well.
Talk to me. Yeah, I think 100% agree. Community is that additional weapon that people should use intentionally. Again, I think a lot many founders with their digital marketing strategy, they just They just build communities out of intention because someone else is building it, or they think that more people bring more business. That's absolutely, I feel, wrong. Should be very intentional, like interacting with the community.
Yep.
100% on that. uh, Talk to me about the data aspect of marketing. I don't want to like ask a standard question about like, hey, what metrics like people should measure, but at the same time I want to like really understand how you think data plays a role in startups doing the right marketing, meaning are they progressing in the right way, take moving forward. What are the metrics that you generally consider?
So I don't really consider a specific metric like, what they should. The reason I don't say I don't consider specific metric, it varies per business. So every
Hmm.
business has their own key performance indicators. For some, it's leads. For some, it's sales cycles. For some, it's conversion to customers. For some, it's lifetime value of a customer. For some, it's
Hmm.
churn. I don't know what it is going to be for your business or the listener's business because it's going to vary for each one. But you got to figure out what metrics really move the business in the direction you want to go, and from both bottom of funnel, mid funnel, and top of funnel. And those are the metrics you need to start tracking.
Hmm. This is more of like a tricky question, I would say. There is like a scrappy of building marketing, right? Like there is this
Yeah.
it not need to be like paid. It should be clever, smart, witty, like people wearing t-shirts in a conference getting the attention of others. Sort of like guerrilla marketing, I would say.
Yeah,
uh,
but it can be paid because paid. I still think is scrappy. If you can spend $1 and make $2 in profit for every dollar you spent through paid advertising, you would spend as much as you can,
hmm. So
right?
the question I have is like, if you were to design a scrappy strategy of marketing, what would that look like? I'm just curious.
Uh, it would actually rely on one key strategy. It wouldn't be a scrappy version of marketing. It would be what can I give away for free? It would be product-led growth, which in my version would be scrappy. It would be what can I give away for free that would and sell them something bigger so I can build up the audience without having to pay for it. I think that would build a
Mm.
much bigger business in the long run.
I think you've talked at detail about product-led growth, giving a free, extracting to expanding to other markets in inbound. When are you becoming Honda Odyssey's ambassador?
I love the Honda Odyssey. You click a button and the doors open on both sides for the kids to jump in and out, right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
For
do love
folks who, for context, I think Neil used one of the examples as Honda, and I loved it in one of the keynotes. So that was the context before that. But well, talk to me about like the brand uh, making in marketing, like meaning take the famous Steve Jobs marketing lessons, right? Like it's always about persona, people, not features or benefits or the product. It's always about beyond that, right? So in this 2023 age, what is do still people think the same? Do you suggest the same, or what are you suggesting beyond that, like
Uh,
people versus
I think
product?
marketing, the concepts are still very similar as they were 10, 20, 15, years ago. Um, in which it is people, personas, problems, solving them. Those are the things that really matter.
It's the same. There's no additions
Channels
to.
have changed. I think the channels have changed. I don't
uh
necessarily think the way people's problems and the personas or a lot of that kind of stuff has changed. But I think the channels have changed that you communicate with them. Just like think
mm,
about television. People used to purchase television ads all the time, and they still do, but now it can be done digitally,
mm,
right? We have connected TV. You have YouTube TV. You have Netflix where you can purchase ads. You have Amazon where you can purchase ads in Prime. Like
right.
the channels have changed, but you know, the real marketing concepts, a lot of them haven't changed. They're still applicable today.
The foundations are the same. I like that. You're also one of the one of the amazing public speakers. You've given so many talks, so many interviews. You know, you're actually nailing this one too. What advice would you give to those trying to improve public speakings?
Just do it. No one's perfect. No one's great at the beginning. You keep doing things and you get better. When you want to play a sport, you're not the best at day one. You get better over time. That's how the life works with most things.
Let's talk about like some of your like the work versus the personal stuff. Uh, what excites you most as a dad Neil versus a marketing Neil?
Wait, repeat the question.
So let's talk about your work life balance, or like the worst versus like the personal stuff. What excites you as a dad Neil, or like as a just general like Odyssey driver Neil versus marketer Neil?
Yeah, so personal life, what excites me is just family, wife, kids, them progressing in life, taking milestones. Those kind of things really excite me.
Any pastimes that you want to talk about that really helps you really focus on your business, that people should follow, like any habits that you want to share?
Wake up early, start my work before a lot of distractions. I sleep early, that way I get a good night's rest. I do intermittent fasting. It helps me with energy, at least for me. I'm not saying medically it helps for energy. I feel like I have more energy with intermittent fasting. I
Hmm.
work out at least 4 or 5 times a week.
Hmm.
I'm not the buffest guy or the fittest guy, but it helps. I try to eat really healthy
Hmm.
and clean, no fried food or not tons of like cheese or oily food, not tons of bread, but all that kind of stuff just helps me be more efficient. I don't really drink any coffee, not even really. I don't drink coffee, tea, don't need
Hmm.
carbonated drinks, just water, no
I like
alcohol.
that. You seem like a. I think you should name this episode as monk marketer, something like that. You seem very calm, very composed. You have a routine. You have like a lot of habits. You seem like the right person. I think everybody should mock around. uh, Talk to me about your like the balance, work balance, just work balance. Like you do the podcasting, you have this business.
I don't
Uh,
have a work
how do you?
balance. So I spend almost all my time on NP Digital or all my time on NP Digital, but there's no real work-life balance. I work a lot. I work 7 days a week and I enjoy it. I think when you love what you're doing on all ends of life, you don't strive for as much balance. You focus on what you love.
Hmm. That's the classic uh inspirational drop right there. You've done a lot of consulting as well, right? Like you've helped companies like Airbnb, Salesforce. When you work with corporations or big brands like that, what are some challenges that you faced, and how did you like overcome?
There's always a challenge. Typically, when you work with clients like that, they come to you with a problem and you got to figure out how to solve it in the time frame they want and within the budget that they want. And it's always tough to do both of those. And you got to start thinking outside the box. You got to get creative. That's usually the way you win.
Any particular examples that you're very proud of the work you did, for
I have a lot, and you can find tons of examples on the NP Digital website. But the reason I don't bring them up is I don't know which ones we're contractually allowed to talk about and which ones we're not. And
oh
inside the NP Digital website, because the ones that are on our website, I know contractually we're able to talk about. Because some of the big companies that you work with, they don't even let you put the logo on their website. Like they're really
wow.
picky.
And when in that scenario, how do you actually grow your consulting business? Like when you don't have that social proof, uh, how do you kind of amplify it that you work for
Outbound
someone?
sales, offer work for free, and if you do well, then maybe you'll get a paid gig. Get creative. Look at all the people on Crunchbase who recently got funding, hit them up and offer them services because they're just flush with cash. Like strategies like that, like just getting creative really can drive good revenue. But that's where a lot of people mess up on is they're not really they're not really getting creative and thinking outside the box.
And in this age, I feel let's talk about creativity, right? Like creative marketing and as such. Uh, in this age, a lot of people are relying just on AI. Like,
Yeah,
hey, create some design strategies for my business startup and whatnot.
which is really bad. You cannot just rely on AI. It's not perfect yet. Uh, I'm still jet lagged. Sorry, but it's
No
not
worries.
perfect yet. It has a lot of issues. Uh, But creativity a lot of times comes with just brainstorming, thinking out of the box, reading, seeing what other people in different industries are doing. That can all help get the creative juices flowing.
And do you I think, again, going back to Steve Jobs about creativity, he says, like, great artists steal and a lot many others like copy, right? Talk to me about this the stealing aspect. Like, how should one do it in terms of marketing, uh, and how to implement, like what you just said, like, observe other people's work, right?
Yeah, stealing is really normal. Instagram copied Snapchat. You know, YouTube copied Instagram and they copied TikTok, right?
Correct.
Like this is nothing new. It happens in all industries. If Apple creates amazing earpods,
Hmm.
Samsung and others may end up copying, right?
Hmm.
Or earplugs or not
The
ear
AirPod.
headphones. Yeah,
Yeah.
earpods or AirPods. I don't know what they're called, something like that. But all I'm getting at, this is normal. Now, the key with stealing someone else's concept is you steal ideally if you can make it better. Doing the same exact thing, it could be effective, but what's really effective is if you can make it better. Google
What are
wasn't the
the
first search engine. They copied a lot of other people, but they figured out how to
right?
make it.
Hmm. That's a great example. Uh, you've also like talked a lot about AI during inbound, and I'm sure that you have like a strongest opinion. Uh, where do it really works well? Like, this is where AI, especially for marketers, content creators, you should heavily rely on AI. And like you said, you shouldn't heavily rely on the strategy bit, which we talked about. But where do you see that AI really helps accelerate the process in 2020?
I think AI can help accelerate the process with creative, content ideation, research, processes, analyzing data. I think those are some of the areas where it can really help you excel. It can't do the whole job, but it can help you get maybe 50% there or 60% there.
Do you use AI tools? Any do you have any AI stack? Do you want to share?
I don't have any stats, but we use a lot of Chat GPT and we use Bard quite a bit. Those are the two that we use a lot.
And any specific use case that you use for?
Sure, taking all our data from our marketing campaigns, putting it in one place, and then having the AI analyze it to figure out where we're wasting money, what's working, what's not, etc.
That's interesting. And where is AI going in the future? Like, what is your prediction from?
I think they're gonna have robots that walk around and can help you.
that's the, that's the wild prediction. Uh, that this has been like very short but very impactful interview, I would say. Any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
In marketing, it we're in a time where it's just like everyone's using AI. When you actually take time to create something unique and you're not just being similar to everyone else, you'll really stand out even more now and it'll help you shine and succeed. So try to figure out what you can do manually that helps you stand out versus just using the same outputs as everyone else. I was at a conference the other day and this
Mm.
lady named Erica told me about her daughter. She's in Switzerland in a school. Three of her daughter's classmates got a 0 on their essay. Why? Because they used ChatGPT and their essays all sounded the same, so the teacher knew. The point
Oh
I'm
man.
getting at is being unique, being creative, standing out. It shines. It's even more important now than it was a few years ago.
Being authentic and, like you said, being human is going to like be the differentiating factor right now because of the machine, overwhelming content that's being floating around. That's a great advice. Neil, appreciate you so much. I know you're busy, you're traveling, you've got a lot on your plate, and I appreciate you for taking time and talking to us. Some of the things you said are really absolutely important. Pick one piece at a time, one channel, focus on one thing, double down and be authentic. Use AI, but don't overuse it. That's I think I would like to put that as a summary of this conversation. But appreciate you. Thanks folks for listening. There've been like more guests coming on the show, and I'm excited to unpack a lot of these things. And cheers to Neil again, but stay tuned for more episodes. Cheers.
Thanks.